Hey, horror and sci-fi and Star Wars fans, we got a me and Eric got a very special video for you guys. We got a review for the documentary The People versus George Lucas. This is coming out the day that Star Wars came out, the original Star Wars, on May 25th. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about like the height of the fandom a bit. Instead of just like gushing over, like the classic trolls era, like the Mandalorian, or because everybody does that. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, we'll probably gush on it all the same, but at the same time, we'll talk a little bit about like sort of the toxic fans out there too.
For sure. So a few housekeeping things real quick. After this video, we're gonna bring back the random name generator because I've been like neglecting to do it. I thought it'd be cool so we can review, the horror and sci-fi movies I haven't seen before, but there's been other videos I want to do, and then they have guests that want to come, come on and all that stuff. So there's that, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of my schedule for, for the rest of the year that I know we're doing for November. Since this year is the 60th anniversary of the James Bond film franchise, we're gonna review Moonraker because it's kind of sci-fi.
The most ridiculous James Bond movie probably ever made.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm excited to go back and revisit it. I'm sure it may not have aged well.
And then also we might review Die Hard. I knew it didn't fall in any category that I cover here, but it's Die Hard, so we got to talk about it.
It's Die Hard. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. And then also for the Christmas season, we're going to do one of the film versions of A Christmas Carol, and it's going to be voted by you guys. So that's going to be coming up in the next several months. So I think it has to be between the Jim Carrey one, the Muppet one, and then maybe like a couple of the old school ones.
George C. Scott one?
Yeah, and then maybe like Lester Sims.
Yeah.
Maybe a fifth one to kind of mix up a little bit.
There's like a really dark one too that came out not too long ago with like Guy Pearce. It's like a miniseries. I've never seen it.
I watched that.
Maybe drop that one in the list.
Hell no.
Oh no.
No, hell no.
That bad? Oh no.
That movie disturbed me.
Oh, okay.
The last kind of thing. I know this is super early. I haven't like filmed this. I just kind of are prepared for it. You guys know that I'm a huge fan of the horror Christian podcast, The Fear of God. One of the podcasters on there, Reed Laggy, is like pretty much like my horror movie like soulmate, basically. Like he loves horror movies just as much as I do. So we're actually coming out this Halloween, October 31st, 2022. We're going to be putting out a top 13 favorite horror movie moments. So that's gonna be pretty fun. Look out for the video for the movie list of the movies I'm gonna review this October. Coming in August. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And let's talk about some horror and sci-fi and fantasy and superhero media we've been consuming the last time we talked to each other.
Okay, so it's been a minute. I'll hit just the tops. So I finally sat down and watched the Batman. And it's pretty good. It's not my favorite Batman. I think Pattinson's a good Batman, but he's not really Bruce Wayne much in it. I got some problems with it.
Did he look like Robert Smith in The Cure?
Did a little bit. I got some qualms with it. We won't go into them here, but but as far as like spending time, I don't regret it. And then I saw Northman. I saw The Northman, which was also pretty good.
Love that movie. That movie was so good.
I didn't love it, but I liked it. I really liked it. I think
love it way more than the Witch, which I fell asleep in. And then I like the Lighthouse was really good. It was just like kind
I
of
like
crazy.
the Lighthouse. I think I like the Lighthouse more than this one. But I mean, this is still good. It's worth every
What's
trip
most
down to
funny
watch
about
it.
that,
But
I originally went into the Northman just because of Anna Taylor-Joy, and she's not in the beginning of what's like
oh yeah,
movie, and
she
that's not like
show up
she's
for like 45
really
minutes.
talented.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the
No,
Nicole
I mean,
Kidman was like way better than her. I thought she was more of a standout. Which surprisingly,
sure.
I thought the roles were going to be reversed. I thought Nicole Kidman was going to kind of be like kind of in the background, and then Anna Taylor Joy, because she's so popular right now. I thought she was
Right.
more in the foreground.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess both those movies, I will say this, both those movies, both Batman and The Northman have like a scene later in the movie that's all dialogue that's like really good.
Hmm.
But I won't give anything away. But like it was interesting to see that there was like two scenes basically like that where they're like one person is giving like long exposition,
Hmm.
but they're really well written. And there's a lot of twists and turns and
Right.
just this monologue scene. It's good. They're both worth a
I thought that
watch.
hot tub scene in the Northman was pretty awesome.
Hot tub scene.
Yeah, when he's not well, not the hot, it's not a hot tub, but like when he's in the water.
Oh, that scene. I thought I was about to say it's like this is set in like the
Yeah.
700s. There's no hot tubs.
No, that scene was
No,
pretty
you're right.
awesome, if you know what if you've just seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about.
I'm all there for like the naked fight of the volcano at the end.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, that was so badass. And I didn't think it was going to be like that entertainment movie, but that's going to be a Blu-ray buy, and that's going to look amazing on our outlet TV.
Sure. No, I liked it. I don't think it's my favorite movie of the year, but it's cool.
Oh, it's my second favorite, next to Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Because I saw like 2 days in a row. Like I saw Nick Cage movie, and then I saw Northman like late night, like at like 10 o'clock.
Right. No, I still need to see Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
It's amazing. Pedro Pascal, like you would not like think that he was the Mandalorian. And I watched the Mandalorian episode on May the 4th. And like yeah, it's completely different. Like I couldn't believe like this guy was in Unbeatable Weight of Massive Talent, and he was a goofball. Like it was so weird.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I need to check it out.
Yeah,
what have you been watching?
So the new Doctor Strange, really good.
Okay.
The title Multiverse of Madness is very misleading.
Oh, I imagine it is.
Yeah, they don't go on like really a whole lot of multiverses. There's like one quick like little scene which was awesome. But if you're a Sam Raimi fan or like you're a fan, you're gonna love this movie.
Okay, good. That's what I was worried about. I was worried if he would get like sucked up into the Marvel machine and it would just be sound like all the rest of them.
The first scene is very, but everything after that is kind of like your classic Marvel movie. There is there is one shot at where Tom McAdams wedding, which is very Sam Raimi. But then the fight with the monster is like very Marvel, like Kevin Feige. Like, but one thing like it starts to be like very Sam Raimi, like Evil Dead.
Sweet, that's exciting.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Olsen was awesome in Scarlet Witch.
Which reminds me, I need to finish WandaVision before I probably watch that, though.
Yeah, but go see this in
theater. I still haven't finished WandaVision.
This is a theater movie.
Okay, all right.
And then of course I watched Evil Dead 2. Leading up to that, I watched Back to Hell for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the actress was.
I like Drag Me to Hell. The what?
That actress was like horrible in that movie in Drag Me to Hell.
Oh no, I didn't think she was that bad. Alison Lohman, I think Alison Lohman's her name. I think she was that bad.
Yeah, she was pretty. I can tolerate Heather Langenkamp in like the Elm Street movies more. I'll say that. And she was pretty bad in those movies.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
Yeah.
I saw Drag Me to Hell in theaters when it first came out, and I don't think anybody else in the theater knew it was like a comedy. Right. So they were just like, "What is going on?" I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I laughed the entire time.
Yeah. One thing I do want to show off real quick.
Sure.
Since I think last week before my birthday, I can't remember. Yes, last week the blur. My grandma took me to go see Doctor Strange like that Saturday, and we went to a record store, a local record store, and I got a record that I want to show off, and it connected to this because we're talking about Star Wars, and Star Wars was a phenomenon in 1977. through the, onto the 80s, onto now.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And you know what else was a 70s phenomenon?
I don't know. I almost saw it, but I didn't see it. What is it?
Kiss.
Kiss.
Yeah, I got Kiss
Yeah, live. Oh, nice.
Yep. And what's cool about this is there's actually like little letters that they wrote to the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like super hypersexualized, especially.
Oh, God.
So since we're talking about Star Wars in this space, I want to read my favorite one from my favorite member of the band, Ace Frehley. It's not super bad, but I just want to read it because it's pretty cringeworthy, but it's fun.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Dear Earthlings, the gravity on Earth isn't quite the same as it is on my planet, but I am slowly getting used to it. I always wanted to play lead guitar and express myself unusually to an audience. When I play guitar on stage, it's like making love. If you're good, you're getting off every time. Thanks for helping me get off of Ace. And that was Kiss back in the 70s.
Very classy. Very Kiss.
It's so weird.
I guess they thought it was a good idea.
All of them. It's like that was all 4 letters. Like
Making love on stage. Kiss.
Yeah. But anyways, you're ready to review The People versus George Lucas? I thought George Lucas versus the People, but that's The People versus George Lucas.
Is it really? I've been saying it wrong the whole time then, because I've been saying George Lucas versus the People too.
Maybe that's why you had a hard time finding it.
I don't know, man. So this was before we get going. I don't know what has happened. I don't know if it's been like scrubbed from the internet or something like that, but it's not streaming like anywhere that I could find. And I looked and looked and looked.
Maybe it's interpretation.
Maybe, or maybe they've hit some sort of copyright infringement or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, the only way I found it. Someone uploaded it to Vimeo with like Spanish subtitles like 10 years ago, and it's like under the Spanish name of it. It's the only way I found it online for streaming. Otherwise, I had to wait like 3 or 4 days to get it from like Amazon for on like DVD. But yeah, I found it eventually. But yeah, I guess it's hard to find now, which is weird. So if you're watching this video and want to go check it out, you may have to buy the one of 2 DVDs that are on Amazon right now for sale.
I already bought it off of Amazon Prime, which is surprising why it's still on there.
Oh, so you had it on Amazon Prime, like purchased?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, it wasn't on there for me.
What's your thoughts about Star Wars? Not even
overall
era, or just your overall thoughts.
Star Wars is a movie I loved as a child. The first 3 I never saw in theaters when I was a kid because they'd already all come out before I was even born. But I watched Hope more than any other movie like ever made. And I had it on VHS and I wore them out. And these are like OG cuts. So like I know I've seen like you say OG cuts because there's like little changes from every iteration from the theatrical on, like little small ones. They go in and clean up like matte lines and stuff like that, even before the special editions. So I've seen like the old versions without any of the new special effects in it or anything like that. And so those are the ones I grew up on, and those are the ones I always really loved. I have like a love-hate relationship. I don't I love the movies. I follow some of the extra stuff. Like I read an occasional comic here or there. I've played the video game. I've seen Mandalorian. I've watched some of the cartoons, Clone Wars, and what's the other one? What's the other cartoon? It's Clone Wars and
Rebels.
Not Bad Batch, Rebels. And so like, I follow it, but I don't follow it like religiously like a lot of people. But yeah,
I think it's the Star Wars anime that came out last year too.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen that. See, like there's so much Star Wars content out there, which is something to get into in this movie. Is that it's hard to like consume all of it. But I love the toys too. Like I bought all the like the Kenner toys when I was a kid. I had a miniature Millennium Falcon that you would open up and you could like put the people inside. How did you come about Star Wars?
It was just something I just knew about.
Yeah. Just always been there.
Yeah, like Wizard of Oz or like Universal Monsters or Batman or whatever.
Sure. I guess I have a question though. What was your first when you first saw Star Wars, did you see the special editions or did you see like the OG cuts?
I do. I think it was like the special editions because I remember
Mm,
when I watched them is when the Phantom Menace was coming out, so it must have been the
special edition ones.
but I didn't give a shit back then. I was a kid.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't either. I went and saw all the special editions in theaters when they came out.
Mm,
Because they re-released them in '97, and so like I begged my parents to take me to the theaters, and I was like 12, so this was like
mm,
perfect age for me to go see them in theaters, and so I loved them. Like one and two, like or 4 and 5, are hold up for the most part. Like there's some, you could nitpicky things, a Han shot first sort of thing. The third one, the scene inside Jabba's palace where like that one lady's like singing and
Oh god,
everything.
that's the
Ooh.
worst one.
Oh, as a child, I remember watching it and then just like going like, "Ooh, this is bad."
Yeah. So anyway, let's get on to this documentary. What's your overall thoughts
Okay.
about the documentary? Just real quick before we get too deep into it.
Sure. I liked it. I think it does. I think it does a really good job of sort of setting up people who love this movie, setting up this sort of like fan culture around it, and then you know, really kind of delving into sort of like the darker elements of like fandom in some ways,
Mm,
like that there are like people out there who love and cherish this movie and it means a lot to them, and then there are people who kind of take it a little too personally when things change on it, and
right.
the backlash that comes with that sort of thing. I do think that it wraps up a little too neatly in the end. Like they spend like an hour and like 50, like 20 minutes, like crapping all over George Lucas, and at the very end they're like, "But we still love the guy," and I'm just like, that feels unearned. That ending
I
feels
disagree with you.
completely
I thought
unearned.
it worked, especially, and then you had like
I
the
don't
whole
know.
George Lucas song at the end.
Maybe I don't know. I didn't buy it. I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I disagree with you.
Okay. What was
Um,
your thoughts overall?
I really liked it. I think it's probably one of my favorite documentaries next to the King of Kong.
It gave me a very King of Kong feel. Like when I was watching, I was like, this feels like King of Kong.
Yeah, just a bunch of man child or
Sure.
women
Yeah.
child.
Right. Right. I love King of Kong too. I think King of Kong may be my favorite documentary. It's really good.
So one of the things I really liked about this documentary was like the beginning of it, where it kind of set up kind of like for him relationship to George Lucas, with like the whole like pettiness of it all.
Mm.
It is a barrage of like like people who like this berating George Lucas, like
Oh yeah.
yeah, like so like it basically opens up with like people doing George Lucas poetry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and one lady said, George Lucas fingered my late adolescence. And you have, I love hate George Lucas. It's funny that this could make people angry. And then there's one guy that says it's the most important thing to me. Don't ever say just the film. People
But
get
it
pretty
is
heated
just a
about George
film.
Lucas.
They do. They get heated about George Lucas, and I have, I've got issues with the movies. I don't hate George Lucas because of it. I mean, I hate George Lucas because completely won't release the originals
Hmm.
like most people. But like other than that, like I don't like episode one great, but it's got some good moments.
Hmm.
Like it's got one of the best songs in or the best musical scores probably in all the entire all of them. Duel of Fates, man. Ooh, goosebumps. So good. And Race is super exciting. That Jar Jar Binks is in that movie, but other than that, and Gungans, all the Gungans basically, and the droids are pretty terrible, and like Jake Lloyd, and Guado, and like you could go on and on about the terrible things in those
Yeah,
movies.
and with this whole, this is funny how this can make people angry, and this is the most important thing to me. Don't ever say it's a film. Why do people have that sentimentality? Why is it so important to people? And why do people get so heated about Star Wars?
I mean, I think it goes back to nostalgia, and like people watch these movies as kids, and it's like part of their childhood. So it's like I've watched like the Brave Little Toaster had like a profound effect on me as a child, but if you watched it now as an adult, you probably wouldn't have the same effect on you. You know what I mean? So like people grew up with these movies, like you said, you just always have known about it because it's always just been there. So it's just part of who you are. And then when someone goes in and changes your memories, they're essentially saying that you don't matter almost. You know what I mean? Like this, people get tied up into it, and I get it, but also I don't care. I don't know. It's hard. It is just a movie at the end of the day. But
Yeah, for sure.
I
But
still.
that's interesting. You add that sentimental value to Brave Little Toaster. That's not a big like from that wasn't a phenomenon like Star Wars was. Like so, and that gets really leads me to my
It's true.
next point.
Yeah.
Why was Star Wars so intriguing for people of the 70s, especially children, compared to like all the other kind of sci-fi movies like Logan's Run or like the Star Trek movie? Like what was this unique out of all the sci-fi movies that came from the 70s that came out? Why was this so intriguing?
I mean, I think it's got a clear-cut story. It's about like growing up. It's about like finding and chasing your own adventure. It's like the hero. So Joseph Campbell, Hero with a Thousand Faces. So it's a story we all kind of know already that that it's easily to tap into. And plus, there was the first one was like a visual effects marvel. So they were like basically like reinventing how you do visual effects on the fly for the movie.
Right.
And then it was probably timing too. It's coming out of like the 70s, which were super terrible in a lot of ways. Those gas crises and all and everything. And it's just
And we were coming off of Vietnam too, so I think movies kind of that you had like Dirty Harry and like Travis Bickle.
Sure. Right. And there was just so many like downer things. This was like a reprieve from it. It was like a happy. It was in some ways it was a happy accident because it could have easily just been like Star Crash or any of those other like terrible. Basically, a lot of the ripoffs of it, like this, it could have easily just been one of those, like any number of just. So it's happenstance in a lot of ways, and then in other ways, it was it's toys, which they touch on in the documentary a lot. Is that they that there is a wide toy market for it, and kids love them, so they bought the toys, and then that ties back into like people making their own Star Wars media and like building their own props and doing things like that because they want to be a part of it. I don't know. It's like a cyclical cycle, like one feeds the other sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was like it just kind of got us back to like like the old myths of old like stuff that like Joseph Campbell was talking about and like a Heroes of the Thousand Faces, like kind of like Beowulf, King Arthur kind of stuff, mixing with like Flash Gordon and samurai Akira Kurosawa kind of movies. And then you had a little bit of like westerns in there a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, it was really just a mixture of all genres. I think that was one of the things that was very appealing.
Yeah.
To people.
And it's like lightning in a bottle. Like there was probably no way to predict that this was going to be the massive success that it was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you take a gamble on these things. Most of the time, directors and people like that like just take a gamble and hope for the best. Like the first Iron Man movie could have been a major flop, and then Marvel would have been done. You know what I mean? Like it's Iron Man wasn't a super popular character, not like Spider-Man or something like that. So like if Iron Man flopped, we wouldn't have had like the the MCU for like the past decade or so.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that's kind of interesting is like really George Lucas was like me and you, just some kid from so and so.
Yeah.
He grew up in a small town in Modesto, California, and like when he was going through like college, as a filmmaker, like he hated corporate Hollywood and how they would run things, and that's why he kind of gathered, with a little group of friends at the time, which became big filmmakers like Brian De Palma, Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, and Steven Spielberg. They were all different for their time. They're telling stories that were outside the box.
It's that new Hollywood of the 70s. It's that sort of reaction to like the 50s, the 50s and the 60s, where they were still under kind of like Hays Code sort of thing. So they were like doing new and inventive and groundbreaking things during that time.
Right. And you can basically say that Hollywood was the emperor. He felt like Which was interesting. He even said in that interview that they showed, like an older interview, they said he feel like he had to manipulate the system just like Palpatine, which is interesting.
Sure. No, I mean, and probably did. I mean, especially since like THX, I think was his first big movie,
Hmm.
was kind of a flop. Like it didn't really do so well. In a lot of ways, THX is sort of like a 1984 ripoff in some ways. But then like he made American Graffiti, and like big studios came calling again because it was like a big hit, and so
Hmm.
like they let him do whatever he wanted to do with Star Wars for the most part. Um,
Right.
but they gave him like a strict, like he had to have it released at a certain time, I think is what it
Hmm.
was. So like they were up against a deadline. They were like finishing the effects like
Right.
night of sort of thing, which is fucking nuts. Was
Right.
nuts.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, like it's hard to imagine selling your soul to make your dreams. I don't know. It's weird.
right.
Would
And
you do it? I would do it.
only person that really believed in him was Alan Ladd Jr. He
Hmm.
basically they even interviewed Alan Ladd in the doc for the documentary Empire of Dreams, which can be found in the
Hmm.
original trilogy DVD box set from like
Hmm.
2004 or five. He
Oh yeah,
basically
I have that
said,
box set.
yeah, he said I believe in George Lucas, but I didn't believe in Star Wars.
Right. I mean,
In
because
the
on
idea,
paper,
he believed like in his vision, he didn't believe that it was going to
right.
be success.
Sure. Well, he trusted the guy who just made him a sizable profit off of a movie set in the 50s. You know what I mean, about car culture in the 50s,
It was
driving around one night.
right. It was 62.
What was?
Um,
Oh, American Graffiti. Yeah, sure. I don't remember the exact date, but yeah, no, like so, like he probably trusted him, even though because probably on paper, Star Wars sounds ridiculous. Like a giant talking dog, and there's a lady who's a princess,
which I
and
have it
they're
on my
shooting
shirt.
blaster guns. Yeah, yeah, right. But Chewbacca, I think Chewbacca is probably what makes the movie work for the most
Hmm.
part. It's the Chewbacca Han dynamic that really, I think, captivated a lot of kids, and Luke. The idea of like a boy who can become more than what he is,
Hmm.
like he's just a farmer and he lives on this desert, desolate planet. And he could go on to save the universe, is basically what it boils down
Yeah.
to.
So I think with the fandom that got built out of that initial audience from 1977, it really started a new religion. And there's even a guy on here that said, and our old religion from our parents were dying, and it started a new religion. Which is
Yeah.
interesting. It's almost kind of like a cult because like there's that one guy that says like if it says Star Wars, we will buy it. We just go on and assume we just assume it's going to be quality.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, like, I have multiple copies of VHS tapes. I have multiple DVDs. I've got Blu-rays. I've got toys. Like I have several copies of the same thing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I have the OG ones. I have the OG VHS tapes, like the ones before pre-special edition. I've got the
Right.
special edition ones. I've got the special edition DVDs. I've got the Blu-rays. It,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
it's it's a bit
it even
much.
got to the point, and here's what the first time they got bad that they did not think it was going to be a big deal when it first came out, so they
Hmm.
didn't have really any toys for the
Hmm.
Christmas of 1977. So they got to this. So this is where like the first like cult kind of mentality started.
Oh, sure.
Um, Parents bought an empty box for their kids on the Christmas of 1977.
That's crazy.
They used to say, "Go get this. You get the toys of Marks." That's
I
what like
mean, but at the same time, I would have bought that box if I was that age. You know what I mean? I would have begged my parents to buy me that box. The empty box. I would just waited on those toys to come in. Um, yeah, it's nuts. It's crazy. But I mean, it's also too. It's like for you and me, it's like we weren't around when they first came out, so our parents have shown us these. You know what I mean? Or like our grandparents have shown. So it's like passing that generational torch like
right.
down because they watched it when they were like younger. I guess my parents were probably at least teens or like early 20s when it came out. They may have been teens, but yeah, like so like they saw it when they were like kids, adults, sort of thing, and then they pass it on to us, and then if I ever had kids, which I'm probably not going to, I would show them, or I would show like nieces and nephews if my brother had kids, or stuff like that.
One of the things I liked that was touched upon in the document that I didn't really think of until I first started watching this was somebody says people just find their own thing that they like, and then they find a way to somehow adapt Star Wars to it. And I think that's true with like any fandom, really, like whether it's Batman or Star Trek or Doctor Who
Sure.
or whatever, or Lord of the Rings.
Sure. No, I mean, like I've always had stories in the back of my mind. Like if they ever came to me and they were like, "We're gonna make a Star Wars movie," I was like, "Oh, I want to tell this story. Oh, I want to do this." I always have those, like, I think everybody does. Like they watch it and they're like, "I want to know more about this," which they really is really interesting. What they're doing with like Mandalorian and the Ahsoka
That's
show and all that. Like expanding out this universe and allowing like other people to tell
and
the
that's
story.
why I did not like Book of Boba Fett that much, because I felt like the cinematic language felt too much like a Western.
Like, man,
I really wanted it to feel like more like Godfather.
Right. Or like a he's a bounty hunter. So like it should be like it should be like I don't know. Like I felt like Mandalorian already kind of had like the Western angle on everything.
I'm hoping
like,
they don't do that with Kenobi. I'm hoping they do more like the samurai kind of thing.
Hope so. We'll see.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the trailer for yet.
When you got the Patty Jenkins directed Rogue Squadron, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence because of Wonder Woman 84. But
well, I think she has a lot passing, because I think either her father or her grandfather was like a fighter pilot back in the day.
That makes sense. Okay. All right. Sounds good. I mean, but yeah, like to me, the more interesting ones, especially of the new stuff, is these offshoot that just kind of tie their way back in. Like Rogue One, I think is one of the better movies of the.
Oh yeah, because it felt like a war movie.
Yeah, but it's in that universe, but it's kind of doing its own thing, and it can be a one-off. It doesn't have to be. But I guess to get back to your question, yeah, I always, everyone I think has these stories that they want to tell, and if you're a filmmaker, you make stuff, or you like make television like I do, you always have like an idea for like, they came to me, I would want to do this.
It starts falling apart right around when like the Spells of Distance were coming out, and I think they were saying that they were going to do prequels around this time too. George Lucas added CGI changes to the movie.
Yes, and it has alienated a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's if I have a preference, I don't watch the special editions. Well,
I'm kind of forced to. That's all I have.
Sure. I mean, I have the VHS copies, and I've got like some digital copies of some original ones that are not great quality. They're not HD, but there are rips out there where you can get the OG ones, like on Blu-ray. Someone's upscaled them from like Laserdisc.
I debate getting those so much, because on one side of me is like, that's kind of like a protest to like, I mean, not necessarily George Lucas now, but like Disney saying like, kind of like a middle finger to them, saying like, hey, I'm gonna buy these illegal versions of Star Wars because you're not giving us the original cut, which everybody wants, including people your generation. But on the other side, like I'm such an advocate against piracy. Too.
I am too. But at the same time, I've bought many versions of Star Wars over the years, and I just want those. And so I've got them. The what now?
Yeah, the Laserdisc.
I don't have the Laserdisc. I have the VHS copies. Technically, I own the same quality version that I have digitally, basically at this point. So just a widescreen version. That's the only difference. It's basically the DVD quality. So back in like 2004 or 2003, I can't remember which, they released them on DVD where they were like special editions with one disc, and then on the other disc there was a 4:3 widescreen version of all the movies.
What was your favorite? Yeah, I'm in the special edition.
Of the special edition ones. I mean, I think it's so it's new scenes or like new trims on scenes, or I don't know. I mean, I like that he went in and cleaned up some of the mats that were kind of bad. I do appreciate that, and they would do that on every version. Like so, from the theatrical version on, like whenever they would release a VHS version or one of those, they'd go in and clean things up. So they'd get rid of like film grain and stuff like that, like extraneous stuff like that. But so I appreciate all those like matte cleanups and things like that. But like, I don't know. I do like. I think when I was a kid, the X-wings like opening up when it turns around them, like that looked really cool to me. That got me excited to see it. But like, you know, I don't know.
I'll tell you what my favorite part. I'll tell you what my favorite part is, and this is gonna give me so much hate, and it's kind of. I love the greeter suit first thing. I think that's the best change in the whole thing. I mean, we already know that Han Solo becomes a likable character towards the end of the trilogy. So I mean, my fault is so hey Eric, I'm just messing with you.
Oh, okay, I was about to say, I was like,
yeah, that is like my second least favorite one because like did George Lucas not know what a character arc is at all?
Yeah, he's supposed to be a scoundrel at the top, and then he's like reformed.
Well, that one
comeback at the end.
One thing I was like, well, as a little girl, like I knew that like Han Solo was a dangerous man, and to change it is bullshit. Yeah. And to say that like it's too violent for kids.
Exactly. You've changed his arc in the movie. That's what makes when he comes back and saves Luke's butt at the end, makes it more redeemable. Like he's come back to do the right thing.
Yeah, is like the director of like Caligula because he had kids, is he gonna like digitally remove all the sex scenes? No, it's
that would Caligula. Be a that's terrible what happened back then. Yeah, I know. I mean, they would do, but they were people do this all the time.
By the way, that's the first thing
right.
I thought.
I mean, if you did that for Caligula, it would be like 4 minutes long. So, but yeah, like I mean, on the one hand, he is the artist and he created it, and he put a lot of work and a lot of heart into it.
Actually, real quick, I'll tell you my favorite change. And again, it's gonna give me a little hate, but not as much hate. I liked how they replaced the actor that played the older Anakin in like the original with Hayden Christensen.
I hate that.
Really, I like it. I think Hayden Christensen is insufferable, especially in Attack of the Clones. But I like it because that's what we thought for the longest time. That's what people thought Anakin looked like. Now we think he looks
also like too. That's been changed as well. So when it came out in '97, Hayden Christensen wasn't even cast as Anakin Skywalker. Right. So it wasn't even that. So it's changed. They've all like there's so many different versions of it. I would buy a box set that had every version out there if they would sell it. I would buy it. I'd pay $800 for it. I would happily give my money over. But that's that. I don't know why. I just don't know. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I just like that. I didn't even think about that. I was like in the original special edition, but But it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
And people have been in this documentary. People say George Lucas like took your toys away. And I think one person even said, "What's another piece of art that divides people?" Oh, that's right, the Bible. And that kind of goes into the whole religious part of it too, because there's just so much debate.
Oh yeah.
And you know what's funny? Here was just really sad, especially now with the whole Disney of it all. Mm-hmm. That think about it, Star Wars, something like Star Wars, is supposed to help you escape from reality. Mm-hmm. People are just as divided about Star Wars as they are with politics.
Oh yeah,
and that's really sad.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, especially with like this new trilogy when it came out. Like from like Force Awakens, there was people who were like, it was a breath of fresh air from like the prequel trilogy. But then they would also hit it and go like, it's just New Hope again. And then The Last Jedi, oh man, people lost their minds over that movie. And then Rise of Skywalker, people lost their minds over that too. I mean,
I like
one of the movies.
That's like probably my favorite out of the sequel trilogy.
I like Last Jedi too. We'll probably get a lot of hate on here for it.
Brother.
I know. Last Jedi's fine, except for flying General. Except for flying General Leia. I can't abide that. That's
I didn't like how Luke threw the lightsaber behind his back. That was kind of dumb. They could have done that so much differently.
I don't know. I kind of liked it. I don't know. I mean,
It was,
But see, like we can get on here. We can get on here and argue about like there are multiple
you're
things.
easy for saying that, Aaron.
I know.
You did that completely different. Luke Skywalker would never throw his lightsaber over his shoulder. That is blasphemy.
But see, people can
I
people
banned you
get
to
heated
the
debates. There are like parts that no, you're good. There are parts that like everybody likes and hates, and like we could watch the same scene and get two different things out of it.
Right, and that's what art's all about, man. You're just gonna get
Of course. And I think that's why most people are just upset. Is like I don't like George Lucas can keep tinkering with this thing till the day he dies. Like he can keep changing it. He can do a new version each year. He can do whatever. Like if Coppola's going back and recutting The Godfather Part 3 and releasing that, but you can still get the original one.
But that's different.
all anybody ever wants.
That's a bit different because people universally don't really like Godfather Part 3.
Oh no, it's the worst of all of them. It may be the worst thing that Francis Ford Coppola's ever made. I don't know, but
I haven't bought the Blu-ray box set trilogy that just came out for the 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to watch the third one, and that was like his original vision. I can't do it, man. I honestly I can't do it. Like, I can't do it.
It's not great, and I haven't watched the new version. I've been interested to see it.
There's parts of that movie that feel like NYPD Blue or Roadhouse.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. Like there are parts of it that feel very 90s, very dated, like late 80s, and it's not a Godfather movie. Like it's weird. It's a weird movie, and it's not great.
But I thought there was help. They pull me back in.
I mean, that's the best part of probably the whole movie.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from it.
So let me ask you a quick question about this.
Okay.
How do you feel about the Jabba the Hutt being added back into episode 4? And if you don't know, they filmed Jabba the Hutt as it was a real actor, and I think they did that just to have like a reference, maybe, and then they're gonna put in like a animatronic character in there, and they was like goofy, and then it kind of, I guess he thought it would kind of ruin the impact if he got to that character again.
No, yeah, for sure.
And then he added it in again with CGI. So yeah, there's all the context there.
Right. To be honest, when I was a kid, I thought it was really cool. And I was just like, oh, cool, we get to see more Jabba. Like that's because he was always like super mysterious in 3 because you never really get to see him before then. It was always interesting, but like, as I've gotten over, it's kind of a throwaway scene to begin with. Like it doesn't really like matter, like that whole scene, because Greedo like comes in right afterwards.
Yeah, we already got the information before.
Right. So it's like, but when I was a kid, I liked it, but I don't like it anymore.
Yeah. I just gotta say one thing real quick, and I know I joked about this before, but Han saw it first, okay? Han saw it first. And he even looks bad. He's the only one that fired.
Yeah. It even looks bad. Like it doesn't look good. And so like it's misses. He misses.
And there's even a quote in here from, I think, the trial of George Lucas, where one of the lines is, I feel like Pinocchio being manipulated by the strings of a crazy, power-mad digital puppeteer. And this is probably my favorite line in the whole thing. How can you not have Han shoot first and still just ignore the fact that he and Chewie are running drugs back and forth across the universe?
Oh yeah,
it explains it all right there. They're doing space drugs, and they're probably giving them to Jabba. And I know I was beginning to think about what was going on in Jabba's palace.
Oh, I mean, it's just probably loaded with spice. Loaded with spice to that big worm.
Probably like space Caligula was going on there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100% space.
Yeah, I mean, if you have like alien chicks in like bikinis, like.
Feeding them to giant beasts. Yeah,
a lot of debauchery going on.
Oh yeah,
a lot. And then somebody says it's a change that is informing the whole character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, we've argued about this already, but yeah, it's like it completely messes up his arc to take him from being a scoundrel to like redemptive and becoming part of like the team. We're wanting to be part of something bigger at that point instead of running from his problems. I don't know.
All right, for sure.
Stupid.
Yeah, makes no sense. And then did George Lucas have the right to change his film based on him becoming a parent and being older and his views changing? I think we gotta kind of touch upon that.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I think George Lucas, I think we said it already, he's fully capable of changing his movies until the day he dies. He can keep changing, keep adding, keep tweaking things. We just want the originals too.
But here's the thing: like, you get 3 different cuts of Blade Runner. You got the theatrical cut, you got the director's cut, and then you got the final cut. The final cut is actually Ridley Scott's ultimate vision of Blade Runner.
Sure.
But he gave us the option of all 3 of them.
Oh yeah, same thing with E.T. They did the same thing to E.T.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now, Brazil, Aliens, Gladiator. Yeah. Recently Justice League. Yeah, but you can watch the multiple versions. Why are we forced these versions of Star Wars?
It's because I think at the end of the day, George Lucas is kind of ashamed of them. Like they just weren't as good as he wanted them to be, and he wants his films to be remembered in this way.
Yeah, and I think, like, I honestly thought episode 1 or episode 4 suffered the most with the changes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Never mind the Jabba the Palace or Jabba's Palace song. Yeah. I think that overshadowed everything else. But you were talking about like, collectively. Because I think Empire Strikes Back had some decent moments, especially when like R2's going out the hallway in the Cloud City, and then there's like the CGI background. That's cool. It adds more depth to it. And then there's that shot of them landing before that scene I was just talked about.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I to be honest, I don't remember a lot of the changes in episode 5. Like the most egregious ones are in 1 and the beginning of 3. Like the rest of them, I don't really remember too many changes in 3. I haven't watched that one in a long time. I don't watch the special editions that often.
And then in 6, I didn't mind like the new Ewok song, especially when they're going across the galaxy, which is funny because when they're doing that scene, you get to hear Jar Jar Binks yelling about it. Pizza free.
Oh no, I haven't watched. You want to get
to Jar Jar right now, or do you want to wait?
We can jump to Jar Jar too if you want to. We can just open that can of worms.
Okay, I'm about to go into rant mode with the whole Jar Jar hate because I think it's like completely ridiculous how fans like to butcher that character and that actor. I don't know if you saw this video that went viral about the guy that played Jar Jar. I think his name is Armand Black. He basically said that he was super excited to be part of Star Wars and to work with George Lucas because that was one of his heroes back in as a kid, and he was a huge Star Wars fan. And so he was all excited to play this character and to really get into this kind of goofier character. It was a good fit for him. So keep that in mind. What I'm about to say. And then the fans basically are not just vocal about not liking that character. They're sending this guy death threats and basically telling him to go kill himself. So think about that. Think about like, you're a fan of something and you're finally get to be a part of that thing. Sure. And then you're met with all this, not just backlash, but death threats. So what happened was this guy, he actually goes up onto the Brooklyn Bridge, which is a bridge that he crossed many times, and he was basically going to go kill himself. Like he was going to jump off the bridge.
Sure.
And he said a huge gust of wind like knocked back. And you can say that's divine intervention, like an act of God or some other thing, or just a coincidence. But he realized that at that point that like, no, like I need to live on. Like I just need to deal with with this. Shame on you shame on anybody that attacked that actor and said all those death threats. That man almost took his own life, and his blood would have been on your hands.
Sure. No, I mean, like, yeah, this
And that's
is where,
a band that you were alluding to at the beginning of the video.
of course, yeah, and this is like we're talking about like toxic fandom, like people
Yeah.
who sort of love something so much that they would rather kill it than to see it exist at all. I don't know. It's people take things way too far.
I'm a huge Marvel fan. I would say that's my Star Wars.
Sure.
Before WandaVision came out, I did not like Kat Dennings as Darcy in the Thor movies.
Sure. She's a throwaway character. It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
In general. But when I first saw her in that episode of WandaVision, I'm like, oh my God, she's hilarious. But I never would have thought in a million years to send Kat Dennings like death threats. Because I know she's
right.
I do not like that character. Or before WandaVision.
Right.
Yeah, but she's a human being.
Oh, of course. And it's probably easier for these people to send death, like to taunt a person who is completely CGI for the most part, other than there's a performer behind it, but like so there's like that disconnect, that uncanny valley between it wasn't like a real person on screen. It's this like alien CGI amalgamation nightmare fuel thing. But at the same time, screw all them. Terrible.
Yeah, that's
Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Jar Jar's not that bad. Jar Jar's not great. Jar Jar's not good at all, but he's not that bad.
I honestly get the hate. I love Jar. I actually do kind of like Jar Jar, but I get the hate. What up with the Ewok hate? I never got the Ewok hate. And then people say, oh, they're just making toy for kids. What do you think Chewbacca was?
Oh, for sure.
What do you think R2D2 and C3PO? What do you think Yoda was?
Oh, sure. I mean, it was originally supposed to be like a Wookiee planet, I think, but they couldn't afford to do full-size Wookiees, so they did these little teddy bear things called Ewoks. But I mean, when I was a kid, I loved the Ewoks.
Yeah, I love the Ewoks. They're like my favorite race in Star Wars because what they represent. Because George Lucas basically he was alluding to like the Viet Cong. He basically said, you look back in history, typically whatever army has the least advanced technology usually tend to be more smarter and they tend to win.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also I just thought about this too. So keep in mind that Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope is George Lucas. He wrote, directed it. It's his. But 5 and 6 have different directors on them. Is he allowed to go back in now and change their movies because it's part of his overarching thing?
I think so. I think he does because he wrote them and he owns the rights to them.
But he didn't even write those ones. He didn't even write 5 and 6.
I thought he did.
He wrote the story, but he didn't write the screenplays. I'm gonna find out. I'm pretty sure.
It's still his vision. I feel like.
Right, but now you're taking away someone else's work and achievement because Lawrence Kasdan wrote the screenplay. Leah Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan wrote the screenplay for Empire.
I didn't know that.
George Lucas just came up with the story. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so now he didn't direct those. How can he go back in and change them? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, sure, he can do it if he wants to, but just give us all of them.
Let's go back to the original trilogies real quick. Do you think George Lucas actually destroyed the original negative of his original trilogy?
No, that's not how that works. You can't go in unless they took the film negative, they digitized it, then they burned the film negative, and then they took that digital version and then just worked on top of it. Like there's so many intermediaries that they would never do that. They would have backups.
Well, you can buy them digitally, or you can buy them off of Etsy, like
what, the film prints?
No, not the film print. Like people have resources to work off, between the VSS, the VCR copies, and then the laser disc. They have all that to work with. Yeah. to make the bootleg copies of the original version without all the CGI effects.
Sure.
You can't tell me that like George Lucas or people at Disney doesn't have that access.
Oh yeah. See, that's the thing too. When Disney bought it, like I forget what year it was. This was like 2011, 12, something like that. I thought, yes, we're finally going to get them. Like they're going to buy them, and Disney's just a big corporation. And for all intents and purposes, like as terrible as it is, I was just like, they just want to make money. They're going to release them because they know everybody will buy them, and that never happened. I've never been so wrong. What I wish I was so right.
I mean, you gotta think it have to happen at some point.
I don't think it will. I don't know if it ever will. Not in my lifetime, probably.
But you know what's funny about this? The real ironic thing about all this was George Lucas was against adding color to black and white films.
Yeah, but those weren't his movies. So those weren't Ted Turner's movies. So like Ted Turner didn't make
an argument that with him making changes to Star Wars, he's changing history.
Yeah, but he's changing his history too. So I mean, it's not necessarily apples to oranges. You know what I mean?
Back to the point where he's not giving you the option.
Yes, yeah, I think that's what it ultimately comes back down to. I'll pay for it. I'll pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah, how much money would you be willing to pay though?
I'd pay $800 for all of them. I'd get if they gave me every version from like 77 through now, I would pay a lot of money for it. I would take out a loan.
I would actually keep every single version just because I want to see the history.
Yeah, I would watch them all, and I fall asleep every time during New Hope. But I guarantee I'll see something new in the 77 version, which I've never seen, because that version was only released theatrically. Like they went in and changed, cleaned up some stuff for the VHS copy.
Right. So yeah, that's an interesting point. I think we've been just lingering on this for a while, but it's an interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess we can talk about this with the sequel trilogy as well. But I want to talk about the prequel expectations. And it ended up being disappointing. And how? And this is just more of the rhetorical question, not question I'm personally asking you. But how low would you go to get tickets to a movie, to any movie, especially a movie as big as Star Wars? Because there's one guy said, "Did I sit in line in the cold?"
Oh, pee in my hands.
Yeah.
3 days, pee in my hands, drink it. Yeah.
Just to see Phantom for the 5th time.
Right. I saw Phantom Menace in theaters when it came out, but I didn't see it for like weeks until after it'd been out for a while. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm really. It's a different time now too. So like with streaming and everything, like there isn't really that much demand for things like waiting in line isn't a thing anymore for the most part. Like there is still some, I guess, with like Marvel, but even those are like they're going to be on Disney Plus in like 3 months. Like, you can go see it now, or you can just wait and just see it in 3 months. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe if they, I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
I had something. I don't have anything in mind. I will say when they re-released the new one, prequel, like the sequel trilogy. I did go see that one like opening night. I did go see Force Awakens. And I enjoyed it.
All right.
And I did go see Last Jedi when it first came out, but I didn't you weren't like. There's so many screens now. Like there's so it's like when Harry Potter, like when last Harry Potter came out, like. I worked in a movie theater at the time, and every screen played Harry Potter like at midnight when it opened. You know what I mean? So like hundreds of people could all go see it at the same time. There wasn't really like waiting in line and fighting on tickets anymore.
Right.
But
well, here's my question. Going back to the whole Jar Jar of it all, and this wasn't really something we touched on when we talked about Jar Jar.
Sure.
Is Star Wars made for only kids or adults, or in between two?
I think I don't know. I mean, I think it's a movie that can be enjoyed by both. And it speaks to universal themes, some headier things that most children would even think about. The idea of like fate and, destiny, and then, greater good. And, there's a deep seated morality to the whole thing, but
gave you Chewbacca.
Sure.
R2D2 and C-3PO. He gave you Ewoks. He gave you Yoda. Thing that kid would want to buy. So don't sit there and tell me that like Jar Jar is like totally out of line in Star Wars.
No, of course not. I mean, I remember seeing it and going like, this character's kind of lame.
If you don't like him, you don't like him.
Yeah, but it's not like make or break. Like it's not gonna like kill. Yeah, I don't like Jar Jar, but I also don't really like. Trying to think of someone from the original trilogy that I didn't care for. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just hate Jar Jar. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't really
He's
like
not my favorite
that much, to be honest with you.
What?
I didn't care very. I mean, compared to Han.
He's cool. He's super cool.
No, he is cool. He was pimping on Leia.
Oh yeah, he's Mac.
Yeah,
it's Billy D. Williams. He's cool. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Mandalorians? Not the Mandalorian, Mandalorians.
Metachlorians. I think it's a little strange that they just come up in this new trilogy and they'd never been mentioned before. Mm-hmm. I find it odd.
They were content to stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, I feel... the whole point of the Force is spiritual based. It's not scientific or biological.
Sure, and it's fine. I mean, I don't care if there's like little metachlorians, like if that was the thing, or if like it was like a sequel, if that was part of the sequel trilogies, and like they just discovered it. It's like, oh, these metachlorians, these are what's in your blood or whatever. Part of the Force.
Thing about it. Well, here's the problem I have with metachlorians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that he didn't establish that in New Hope or in episode 1 or episode 4. He established it in episode 1. And it would have been fine. I mean, I don't know how people will react, but it's well, that one guy said it's like you put a skin to somebody. He's like, you don't got enough religion inside of you.
Yeah, but like that's the thing too. It's like so they introduced in episode 1, but then it never really comes back up in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember it ever coming back up again. So it's just like it's almost like a throwaway thing that he was just like giving the middle finger to like fans or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. Yeah, it's kind of like that scene in Attack of the Clones when Jar Jar smiles in the camera.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I'm still here, motherfuckers.
I'm still here."
Yeah.
He's still a part of it.
So is Neil Gaiman right about not liking when fans tell artists how to create art?
Oh yeah. He's 100. Like I mean.
Yeah, there's fan fiction for a reason.
Oh, of course, but I mean, like,
and not just for perverted reasons, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is. You can. I mean, is what it is. But yeah, no, like, you shouldn't. People telling you how to do things. It's just like Misery. You know what I mean? It's like it's the whole idea of Misery, which they parody in this movie. That like. The idea that a creation can be overtaken by someone who loves it so much and wants to make it their own that the creator then is wrong for how they want to do it, even though they're the creator of it. Whether you like it or not, it's whatever. But like, it's still theirs to do and change, and they don't have a say so in it ultimately.
What are your thoughts on the whole George Lucas raped or ruined my childhood?
I don't really like that terminology for it. I mean, it's making light of like sexual assault, so like I don't care much for it. But
well, I think the whole concept of it, I mean, if you play through it ruined, is so stupid.
Sure. Oh yeah, the idea that like he's ruined your childhood. I mean, no, he hasn't.
Fun. You play with the toys.
Sure.
You had the costume. You did a little phantom. Yeah. Like you had fun. Shut up.
Yeah. Just enjoy. And that's the part of the documentary that like it feel like it's building towards a fever pitch of like George Lucas hate, and then the last like minute or so, last like a little bit, they're like, but he still gave us all these great things. We love him, and I'm just like, I don't feel like you earned that. I don't feel like you earned that conclusion, that thesis. But
yeah, I disagree with that, but that's just me.
That's fair.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I love about this documentary is like it's well balanced for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, and like I will say, like every time they brought up a point, I was like, "Yep, thought about that. Yep, made that argument before." Like
Yeah,
every time, I'm just like, "Yep, I know that one.
yeah. And I
I
think
understand that."
it's not like the Han Solo drug smuggling line that the other guy
Hmm.
says, but that I think that's the funniest line. This is the best line
Right.
in the whole movie. This is like the most profound line in the whole movie, the whole
Hmm.
documentary. I don't think you can say that George ruined my childhood because you're still living in your childhood. You're acting like a child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
understatement of the whole fandom.
Sure.
Yep, and that goes to
Makes
all
perfect
the
sense.
anti-SJW YouTube channels. I'm not going to name names. You know who you are, and then that's what you're acting like. You say that it should be an escape, and get your woke politics out of Star Wars. But like you're just as bad. Like you're just as bad in the division of Star Wars fans.
Sure. 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 I
Yeah.
mean, some people. I mean, I get. It means a lot to people. I mean, just like religion means a lot to people. Just like a certain band means a lot to a person. And when those things change, it hurts. It's hard to take sometimes, but it's end of the day, it is just a movie, even
Mhm.
if you really do love it. So I don't know.
Yeah. And one last final question. And I
Sure,
guess, I guess to you, this will be a better, wrap up than that documentary.
sure.
Yeah. I know I'm low blowing you on that one. Can Lucas still make something just as great as Star Wars? That's not into Star Wars.
Can he now?
Yes. Can you get a crew
Yeah,
together? What?
yeah, yeah. Of course, he has the potential. Will he do it? Probably not. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't made anything since Revenge of the Sith, and even before that, like he had been speculating on making, those the prequel trilogy for like decades before they, or at least a decade and a half before they finally made it. Because I remember watching like the VHS tapes, the pre-special edition ones. They did an interview. They did an interview with George Lucas at the very beginning where they would talk about it. And he would be like, and this was like 1989 or something. This was like a decade before they even made new like the episode one. And he was talking about like like, oh, I have these ideas for like the prequel trilogy and all that. And I would speculate and think like, what would it be about and all these sort of things. And my ideas of what it would be is never exact, never wasn't episode one. But uh I mean, I think he still can.
Yeah, it's kind of
Will
like
he?
with James
I don't know.
Cameron and the whole Avatar thing. It's like, yeah, I would
Yeah,
like to see an Avatar like two. I don't want to say like the story of the first Avatar, because it's Pocahontas and Enchanted Wolf regurgitate it. There's nothing
sure,
new to that particular story, but I love the
sure.
world of Pandora. I think it's amazing. And like I got goosebumps watching the second or the trailer for the new Avatar movie that's coming out in
Hmm.
December. Hopefully, it's coming out
Right.
in December. Especially that,
We'll
that
see.
water scene, I start smiling from ear to ear. So before we wrap this crap up, let's go to the letterbox review where I just have a short little paragraph. And
Sure.
this is not my best written one, but we'll just go with it.
Okay.
George Lucas, The People versus George Lucas. A clever and well-balanced documentary that's an interesting watch, even after the Disney deal. And I gave it a 5 out of 5.
Okay. I would say that's pretty apt. I would probably give it about a 3.5 or 4 out of 5.
Okay.
But
So just real quick before we get to the random name generator, what would you say your top 5 Star Wars characters would be?
top 5 Star Wars characters:
Hmm.
Chewbacca, Han Solo, Lando, Luke, and R2.
Ooh, not bad. I'll give
Hmm.
you my top 5.
Okay.
Slave Leia, Slave Leia, Slave Leia, Slave Leia, Slave. I'm kidding.
Well.
I mean, that was pretty awesome. I knew people had some problems with that, but I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's getting fish in the '80s, so
True.
yeah.
She's a badass though.
A long time ago before Mandalorian, I would have said Han Solo, but I gotta go Mando. Mando's a badass.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go with Han. Then I'm gonna go with a tie between Yoda and Baby Yoda. They're just so.
Okay. That's
Um,
fair.
this is a group of characters, but I don't like any versions of the clone troopers or the stormtroopers. I think they're really cool.
Yeah.
And Ewoks I like a lot.
What was the last one?
The Ewoks.
Yeah. Ewoks are fun.
Yeah, and one of them is played by Warwick Davis, probably one of the
Yeah.
dwarf actors ever.
Oh yeah, and this was like his first movie. He was like still a child when he got cast in it. Yeah.
But anyways, guys, that's been a review for The People versus George Lucas. Definitely check it out if you can find it. You can get it pretty cheap off of Amazon or maybe like eBay.
Yeah. I would say look for a physical copy because digital ones are hard to find.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's do another crack at the random name generator. If you don't know what that is, I put a bunch of horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and superhero movies in a random name generator, and the top 3 that pop up, you guys have to vote for, and that's going to be we're going to review that in an upcoming video coming up. So let's see what we've got this time. All right, so we got the original Fright Night.
Okay.
Children of the Corn.
Okay. Linda Hamilton.
Future trilogy.
The Back to the Future trilogy. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that one's probably. I feel like people are probably gonna pick that one.
Yeah, but I love those movies.
I'm excited for all these. I want Children of Corn's fine. It's probably a middling Stephen King adaptation effort, but it's pretty. There's some good creepy kids in it. But yeah, Back to the Future trilogy, classic. Love those. And what was the Friday Night? It's like underrated. Like, have you ever seen Friday Night?
I love that movie.
Oh, it's great. Even I will make the argument. The sequel, not the sequel, the remake, pretty good.
I never seen it, but I've heard reviews. The only problem I had is that they made the Roddy McDowell character a musician, and didn't really work. I knew at that point horror hosts weren't that big, but they could have at least made him like a paranormal investigator.
I think they probably, I mean, those have been done before too. So like, they were probably just like, this would be something new and funny, and then it kind of works. It doesn't work, but it's fun. It's not bad. But it's definitely prefer the original to it.
Yeah. But yeah, this has been Drew from Horror, Sci-Fi, and Beyond. Thank you for watching. I just got to let you guys know, I know Star Wars can cause a lot of bait. Definitely be open with your opinion, but if there's any sort of belittling or negativity at all, like, or name calling or any of that stuff, then your comment's going to get deleted. I'm not going to have any of that.
Be nice to everyone. We're all part of the Force. We all have the midichlorians.
Oh, God. But anyways, guys, this has been Drew from Horror, Sci-Fi, and Beyond. Over and out and bye. And may the Force be with you.